not alone. I am talking to a longtime friend and a person that I really consider to be a brother. He is a servant of God. He's a fitness enthusiast. He's a motivator. He's energetic. He's got a smile that is rivaling, Colgate and Acrofish and all of these brands. He's just so bubbly and so welcoming and so kind. And today he has decided to join us on the Hazes podcast just to talk to him and see where he is and how he's dealing with things. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado,
What up,
welcome
what
him.
up, what up, what up? You good?
I know that was quite a intro, but I'm not wrong. I mean, you are Mr. Coolgate.
To be honest, I can try be humble in this moment, but I actually did a Colgate ad, so I can actually take that. I can
Ah!
take that. So I
So if the
appreciate
shoe
that.
fits, wear it, right?
You know what I'm saying? So I'll wear that shoe.
But how are you? How are you? How's this time been? I mean, like it's interesting to make some time to talk to people during lockdown,
Mm,
and of course to use the different applications that we can in order to still have these conversations. But
definitely.
how are you during this time of lockdown? Before we get into the actual conversation,
I
how are
think,
you keeping? How have you been?
to be honest, for me, this lockdown has really been a blessing for me. I can genuinely be honest with you and let you know that there's a lot of things that I put on pause, before lockdown, that now that during lockdown I've been able to obviously go and pursue. So, for example, I've started my YouTube channel, which I'd literally put on
Mm-hmm.
pause for a few years. Like literally, there's some content that I recorded in 2018 that I'm only releasing now. In terms of other additional things, I've started cooking as well. So I've been cooking in the kitchen, getting things together, which is really amazing. And I'm not saying that it's like the first time I'm cooking. It's just that I previously hadn't been cooking, or like I hadn't been able to put a lot of effort into it, because it's that thing of you getting home from work and literally you've only got a certain amount of time to get things done, because you've got other meetings that you need to attend, etc. So like literally this has really been a rejuvenating period. It's been a period that has really helped me realign what I really want to do, and also just make me get to a place where actually I fulfill what I'd wanted to do previously. So I think it's really just been
Right.
a place where I've been able to step into what I was supposed to during this period. And I don't know if people realize that it takes 21 days to form a habit. I think we're in the 31st or 32nd day of lockdown. And literally,
Yes. Yes.
because I've been doing what I've been doing throughout this whole period, which is the gymming, which is the running, which is the YouTube content, which is etc. Like literally, I have formed a habit now, so that I know that when I get out of lockdown, it's going to be something that I continue doing. Why? Because it's a part of who I
Right.
am now. So yeah.
Right. I mean, I think it's interesting, like, because people have been reflecting on this time, and I know it's meant a lot of things for different people.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, I think, because you spend so much of the time at home, and whoever may be in your space, it is a lot of time to spend with the people that you love.
Mm,
So I know a lot of people have been working on, friendships, relationships. Like you said, people that didn't have time to cook before. I was one of those people. You now have time to not just cook, but enjoy cooking, and being present in the moment of your cooking. I, for one, have used this time to read and to finish the books that I had started in the beginning of the year, but I just
it's
never had
awesome.
time to finish. So I'm glad that like you've been able to really use this time proactively and productively.
Mm. And I think a point
Yeah.
that I want to mention as well in this regard is, like, I think it's genuinely being in a place and a period where I'm able to deal with myself, deal with me.
Mm,
There is nobody that I'm
mm,
basically interacting with in a physical sense, where,
right.
usually during the day you're at the office, you're dealing with people. You get home from the office, let's say you go to the mall, you're interacting with people. Now you genuinely have to deal with you. And I think the
Mm,
toughest thing that people actually struggle with is dealing with themselves. I think that's why a lot of people are at a place right now, probably where they are fearful, where they're at a place where there's anxiety, there's stress. Why? Because they have to deal with themselves and they haven't really had the opportunity to deal with themselves. And I think just
right.
me knowing who I am in God, prior or before getting into lockdown, I've known who I am. So now, because I know who I
Mm-hmm.
am, it's basically taking myself from where I am to where God desires for me to be in any area, in any aspect of my life, because I don't think God is a God of one area. I believe that God is a God of every
Right.
single area. So mentally, physically, emotionally, like just elevating yourself, seeing yourself better, aligning with the Word of God for your life, seeing yourself the way that God sees you. So it's really been a great time to step into that mold that God has got for my life, which has really been truly amazing.
I mean, I think, you mentioned just being able to hear from God and being able to connect with yourself during this time. I think generally we get so busy that we don't have time, and
Mm,
I think this has really been a way to get everybody to really be still.
mm,
The word of God speaks about that a lot. Be still, be still, be still. But this has really been a practical activity of being still.
yeah,
And
true.
I think it's interesting to see how we behave differently in the context of being still. Being able to be still means that you can hear from God and you can also hear from yourself.
Mm,
All of those things I think that you try to avoid, or all of those things that were kind of blocked out by all the surrounding noise and the hustle and the bustle of life.
mm,
Now that all of that has somewhat subsided, you actually have more time to deal with yourself.
yeah.
And it's great that you know yourself, but I think, for those people that have always struggled to get to know themselves, this is an amazing time to actually face yourself.
Mm,
And I think in facing ourselves, it's also about being kind, because in this time of isolation, you can find that there are things that you like about yourself and things that you don't like about
yeah.
yourself. And I think that's okay. It's not about being perfect. I think it's about making space for all that you are and understanding that God is working in all that you are.
Yes.
Both the attractive and the unattractive, the good and the bad. So I think it's great that you've used this time to actually hear from God and hear what He wants from you and to align yourself with that word.
Yeah, that's very true. I think just the last point that I'll mention with regards to the lockouts, it just made me realize, and I've actually been seeing certain things within my life where it's, there's certain things that you'd put off and say, I'll get to it, when I have more money, or I'll get to it when I have more time. I think genuinely this is a
Mm,
time where you truly see people's true characters, where they said, when I have more time, I'll do this. And now that they've got more time, if they're not doing it, that just goes to show that it's their character, that they are just the person that just keeps postponing because they don't actually want to step into a
yeah,
place where they're
yeah,
challenged and get out of their comfort zone. So this has really just been a period for me where I'm like, Zama, you said that you'd do this. So do it, because now you've got all the time that you have to do
yeah,
it. And if you don't do it, that
yeah,
actually is something that you need to question yourself with. Is your character in line? Are you truly a person that you say that you are? Because I've actually said to people as well, is I can genuinely go tell people who I am, but people don't do what you say, they do what you do. So literally, I need to
correct,
live out
correct.
the person that I say I am, because people will follow what you do until you say what you're doing, and then they'll follow what you say because your words align with your actions. So I want to be
Yes.
victorious internally. I want to be victorious in private so that when I go out in public, I'm victorious too, so that my life in public and in private align with one another.
Right, right, right. And making sure that through and through you see that level of consistency.
That's
You
correct.
see that it's genuine. You know what I mean? It's not something that you're putting on for people. It's not something that is a performance, but it really is a true manifestation of who you are.
That's
But
correct,
I
yeah.
think one of the things that I've always known about you is that you are a motivator. Of course, this guy, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, you'll find this guy on social media platforms and he'll share his handles just now.
Yeah.
But he's one of those people who's always sharing the fact that he runs, the fact that he eats healthy, the fact that he's always got a motivational word and an inspiring word. And I think that's one of the things that I've always enjoyed about your company is that it's so sincere, it's so genuine. But I think in doing all that you do, I guess my first question to you is, what was the moment in your life where you realized that you were called to add value to the world? We all going through a process where we're finding ourselves, and maybe people are using this lockdown period to find themselves. But for you, what was that like? What was that moment like where you're like, you know what? There's something I need to add to the world. I've got a message for the world. What was that moment like for you?
Cool. So there's a whole lot of moments that I can actually attribute to the person that I am to right now, but I will pinpoint, I'll go back to 2010. So in 2010, I lost my sister. It was during the period where I was writing my prelims, and what happened during that period is my teacher sent a message saying that Zama, you don't need to come to school anymore, right? During the prelims, we'll give you the marks that we believe you were going to get, which is basically, I remember I had science left to right, I had consumer studies, as well as I had biology to do as well, but at that moment in time, I genuinely had a supernatural encounter with God. And I literally said to God, God, I can take this opportunity to obviously get the marks that the teachers think that I was going to get. But the thing is, that means I will neglect the ability for you to shine through me during this period and elevate me so that I've got a testimony to share with people that despite you being in a mess, God can bring forth a message. Despite you going through trials, you can triumph. You know what I'm saying? So I went
Right,
and
right.
wrote these exams. I remember, I think for biology, I got something like a 74. I remember for consumer studies, I got like a distinction. Science, I got like a 50 something. But at the end of the day, I literally had to win the battle within my mind, in my heart, and in my spirit before I went out and I went to be victorious. And I think generally what we need to realize is that the moment that you accept the easy way out is the moment that you will limit God to do something in and through you so that you can use that as a testimony to empower people, push people, and guide people in a direction where they realize that true potential is genuinely something that can be fulfilled if you actually go out and do something, you know?
Mm, mm, mm. And so that moment of transformation for you, what did that look like? I mean, from a time of saying you just this guy on this earth to actually being like, no, I'm here for a reason and for a purpose. What did that time of transformation look and feel like for you?
For me, like, it was really, like, there's no greater joy for me than to serve people, like, literally, your success is greater than my success. Literally, like, what I believe is that literally a great leader is a leader that can build people that is better than them and that does more
Mm,
than them. And that's the reason why I do what I do. The reason why I aspire to inspire and why I inspire at the same time is because I genuinely want the fullness of the potential that you have on the inside of you to be expressed. And that's when I realized
mm,
that I had to go through what I'm going through so that you don't have to face the same thing. Or maybe you might be facing the same
right.
thing, but I want you to realize that you can get through it, that it's not the end of the road, that you can be a conqueror and be victorious in this time. And that's when I realized that my life is not my own. My life belongs to
Mm,
the people, in essence, because literally my story is a testimony for somebody to conquer within their life, and that's why I was like,
right.
you know what, Nam, the shift in mind is I'm no longer living for me. Yes, I'm not saying that all I do is to get the applaud of people. No, I live life in a way that people can see the grace of God upon my life, that people can see that you can be victorious, that even though you're living in poverty, don't let poverty live in you. Like, literally, you need to get to that
Right,
place
right.
where I want to elevate you mentally. I want to open your eyes so that you guys can see that God can change your life. That literally, people in the world live according to what they see, right? So I will show
Mm,
you who God is in my life. I will show you that God has blessed me financially. I will show you that God has blessed me in various aspects of my life so that you can see the God that I serve because He's changed my life and He can change your life too. So I will definitely show you what appeals to you and to the people that are spiritual as well, because we definitely do face challenges. There's times where, one moment you motivated, one moment you like spiritually on a high, next moment you're on a spiritual low. But what I want to show you is that you can get to a place where there's like a common ground where, yes, you might be feeling this way, but don't live according to what you feel, because if you live according to what you feel, you'll never get anything done. And literally, it's
right.
about getting to a place where you're able to tell yourself that even if you don't feel like waking up, you force yourself to get up because you know you have something to do. So, generally, it's about getting to a place where each and every single area of your life has got the faith, favor, presence of God, so that when people look at you, they're not just saying that, this guy's only blessed within the workplace. No, they should see
Mm,
when you go out and run that this guy, his times are amazing, that he's got athletic professional times, even though he's not a professional. You know that when you
Right.
go and cook in
Right.
the kitchen, my man, that you cook up meals that even people that have been cooking for a while are able to congratulate you and say that that's good. So literally,
Right.
it's about having that full, rounded favor blessing of God upon your life, in essence.
I mean, it sounds like a very well-rounded, you know, spirit of excellence, and aiming for a spirit of excellence in everything that you do, and being available, for all that is within you and for all that God wants to show through you and display through your life. How have you gone about like creating a mindset for success? I think like walking us through the actual process. So I think a good example is actually around your running. That running is something that is a huge part of your life. But right now I see you in the success part of it and the part where it's really become part of your life. But talk to us a bit about the genesis of it. Why you thought being physically fit and physically available and being excellent in the area of fitness was something that was important to you. Like, how did it start? How did you create that mindset?
All right, cool. I think point number one that I'll speak to is that everything that you do, you need to do it as you do it unto God. You know, that's my first thing, is because a lot of people do things to get the praise of people. I do things because God has placed the potential in me, and I'm doing it because I want to express of who He is. And then in terms
Right.
of me getting into this running, so I remember varsity, high school. Literally, I was a very athletic person. I used to run. I was a part of the running team. Used to do 800 meters, 1,005. At some point, I was a part of the relay squad as well. And then, most of the year, I played soccer, which is club soccer as well as school soccer. So I was a very active person. And the moment that I got to varsity, I didn't necessarily have enough time because literally the workload literally took me out of sports. I couldn't make time for sports anymore, and literally I started gaining weight, and from being like a well-rounded person in terms of I was a waist 28, 30 at that point. I
Right.
was literally I was lean in essence. Then I got to a place where, dude, I ended up going to like a size 32. I ended up weighing something like 76 kgs. And I literally looked in the mirror at one point and I'm like, Zama, this is not who you are. You know what I'm saying? And the
Mm,
reason why I was
mm,
able to get to that place is because I knew who I was before this, or I knew the person that I wanted to become. So my mental shift happened at that place where I was like, this is not the person that you are. So you need to get back to the place, or back to the person that you see yourself as, back to the person that you desire to be. So that's when I got into the running, because running obviously it's something that I previously used to do. And then I was like, Zama, let me get back into this running thing. So I started running about 5Ks, 7Ks and everything. And I really became persistent. I became persistent at
right.
this running thing that literally even now I can go out and go run a 33K and it's genuinely nothing for me. Why? Because I've really put
Sure.
in the work over the years to get to this place that it became a part of who I was. That genuinely, it's like a reflex action going to run now. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think the next point that I want to mention about this is literally that the reason why I continue running at the same time is because it kind of frees up my mind. Like, I'm not focused on
Right.
what's happening within my life, what's happening in the world, but that's a genuine time where there's a voice that genuinely speaks to me. And I don't know if you've
Mm,
seen on my page that genuinely most of the time after I run, I go and share a message of inspiration because there's a lesson learned in me running. And
sure.
I've gotten to the
That's
place.
powerful.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, that's powerful. Sorry, continue. You're saying you've gotten to the point where?
yeah. So I've gotten to the point where I understand my body now, and I've applied
Mm,
what I face in running in other areas of my life, and I've seen victory too. So I know that when before I start running, there's gonna be that period where I don't want to run, right? There's gonna be the period while I'm
right.
running within the first kilometer that I feel like quitting. It gets to the place where I overcome that quitting part, and then now I'm genuinely in a great rhythm, and now I feel like I can do this, right? And if I've set a
Sure.
goal of probably, let's say, to run 10Ks, probably eight in the 8K or the 9th K, I'm gonna feel like quitting. my body is going to tell me I'm going to feel pains in my knees, I'm going to feel pain in my back. Pains are just going to start coming from nowhere, and literally I'm going to feel
Sure.
like quitting. And then it gets to a place when I actually reach my goal, and once I've reached my goal, now all of a sudden there's another energy spurt that actually wants to take me further. And I've genuinely
Hmm.
gotten to the place where I understand my body, I understand what I'm going to face. And the thing is, the reason why I know what I'm going to face is because I got into this journey in the first place. So I know what is going to happen. There's going to be a point where you're not going to want to do it. There's going to be a point where you're doing what you're doing and you're going to feel like quitting. There's going to get to a point where you close
Mm,
to the finish line and you're like, I've actually done enough. But then the thing is, you need to push past that barrier. You need to push past that point to get to the finish line, because you don't start something to get to the middle point, because there's no story in that. You start something to finish it, because the story
uh,
comes from finishing what you started.
power,
So yeah.
power. I think I'll also jump in there because you're speaking about running, but really, it's about understanding even the mental side of starting something, and starting something not to just say that you've done it, but to start something because you recognize that there's more within you.
Mm.
There's more potential, there's more power, there's more excellence to release within you. And I think with you, although you talking about this with regards to running, this can very easily be applied to different areas in our lives.
That's correct.
That whatever it is that you are doing today, whatever it is you find you are called to today, to honestly believe that there will be times where you're tired. There will be times where you get those body aches, those heart aches, those headaches in the area where you are called to. And even when you find that you get those pains, to push past the pain and
Mm.
to recognize that, like you discovered that the power and the potential within you is always greater than the feeling that you're feeling at that point in time. So you may be feeling like you want to quit. You may be feeling like you are physically and even mentally exhausted, but recognizing that if you can just hold on a little bit longer, you'll be able to push past that point of pain, push past that point of emotional frustration, and really recognize the fullness of your potential.
Mm.
And I think for you, running has definitely been one of those areas. And I've definitely, as a friend of yours, and as an observer and as a follower of yours, I've also been able to see that and be inspired by that. It's interesting that you mentioned mental health, because I know that a lot of people, especially even during this time of quarantine, have struggled with mental health.
Yeah.
You're spending a lot of time by yourself, or you're spending a lot of time with people in your life. Some of those people might not be healthy influences. Some of those environments may be toxic environments, and creating some space for your mental health in things like running. I know, thank God, in South Africa, like you mentioned in our previous call, that they're now saying that we actually can do some exercise and we are able to run.
Praise
So
the
I think
Lord.
talking about the mental benefits of running and physical exercise, what has that been like for you?
You know.
Where have you seen like the main shifts?
To be honest, genuinely, my running has shifted every single area of my life. I think just as you mentioned now, is I got victory in this one area in my life, and I decided to apply it in
Mm,
every single other area of my life. This area gave me confidence to be confident in every other area of my life. And I'm just gonna take it to a scripture where it says that, you know, um, basically, as a man thinketh, so is he. And genuinely, I see myself as a person of influence. I see myself as a
mm,
person that people look up to. So I know that even though things might be tough in my life, because me, I am mentally stable, because I'm mentally sound, despite what I'm facing, I can't allow people to see my struggles. I'm not saying that I'm not
right.
perfect. I'm not saying that I don't face things. But the thing is, let me face things in private so that when I come out, I am mentally sound and I'm able to help you be victorious. That's why when I testify and share things, I'm like, guys, this is what I faced and this is how I conquered. So literally running
Sure.
has literally touched each and every single area of my life, that I'm able to apply what I do in running, going through the phases where I feel like quitting, going through the phases where I've got that energy burst, going through the phases where I'm about to complete what I'm doing and I feel like quitting, pushing to the place where I actually complete what I'm doing. So literally, mental soundness has really helped me get to the place that I'm at right now. Like literally, if you're not mentally sound, that's where you will be conquered. There's a scripture that I'm going to
Yeah.
reference again that says that we should be sober minded and alert because the devil is prowling like a roaring lion seeking to whom he may devour. And a lot of us think that the devil comes in the form of a person with horns. No, the devil will come to you in a form of fear, which attacks your mind, which will come to you a form of anxiety,
Mm.
which attacks you, which will come to the form of your stress, which will attack you. But then if you are sober minded and alert, you will be alert to the fact that yes, you will face opposition. Yes, there might be times that you want to quit. Yes, there might be times where you feel like giving up. But the thing is, you will live by faith. Yes, there might be a lack of peace, but because you know who God is and who you are in God, that God will give you a peace that surpasses all understanding. Where you get to a place where you are
Mm.
sound in every area of your life and you don't allow the sound of the world to determine the way that you think, but you listen to the voice of God and that will direct your life.
Sure. I mean, it's really powerful in that you emphasize the importance of doing the personal work, the private work. I think in a world where we're so overly exposed, by looking at feeds, by looking at statuses, by looking at so many things, it's easy to get lost
Mm,
in, what the world says about you, what statistics, what history says about you.
mm,
That if you do not make time to work on your mind, if you don't make time to figure out who you are and to deal with your personal challenges and, succeed even in those various trials and tribulations, then your life will always take on, the narrative of what the world says that you are,
mm,
who the world says you will be, what the world says you can become. But I think in being in a world where we're so overexposed, it's also easy to get lost in comparison, right?
mm,
And I guess because you are a content creator on YouTube, you're a man of God, you're a fitness enthusiast, you're all of these things, and you have an online presence. I would say, how do you balance, being inspired by people without being, trapped by comparison? How do you make sure that you stay true to who you are, where it seems like comparison is one of the greatest